Testing 1, 2, 3. We're on a roll. Hi. So I got a brand new mic, and I don't know how mics work. So I thought to make a funny little video, maybe edit it a little bit, add some cool effects, and see whether or not I know how technology works. And I was like, well, what could a small little video accomplish? And I was like, you know what? Not many people talk about the totally hit 2013 show Slugterra from Disney XD. So I was like, why not talk about that? So that's exactly what I'm doing. First of all, this is meant for like a general audience, like anyone who just likes my vibes. So I'm going to assume that you know absolutely nothing, which makes sense because no one knows anything about this show. Everyone's forgotten that it exists. Um, I will literally say Slugterra in the wild, and no one will know what I'm talking about, which is cool because if you're looking for a small fandom to join, there's like a solid 23 people on Tumblr, Discord, otherwise that are like doing things for it. You start doing things, and you become a big name fast. It's a very fun fandom. All of us are super chill. But anyway, I have like some notes here on what to ramble about. There's no like actual script. This is just for funsie. I'm wearing a Canada thingy because it was made in Canada by Nerdcorp, which is now defunct, which is like really sad. Because one of the main things about the show is that the animation is like, some people say it's clanky. I think it's really good. I think it's like super duper original to it, and it's a joy to watch. It's like an action wild western thing, and like the worst animation in the entire show is the intro. Skip through the intro. No one cares about it. It's terrible. We'll get to what I call like the eras of Slugterra in a second, but it really only covers the stuff from the first era. It's kind of like if there was an anime opening and it just kept the season 1 anime opening for all like 8 seasons. It doesn't work. Just skip through it. Except for maybe like the first time, so you know what I'm talking about. But skip through the intro. It'll help you in the long run. Speaking of which, there's a lot of content here as well. There are 2 seasons, like 4-ish movies, and a season 3. We'll get to that in a second. But first, what is Slugterra? It's a western. There's a kid. The show opens up with a kid's dad dying, and then he sends like his little bestie slug friend up to give his kid his will and be like, yo, you want to be a hero in the underground? And he's like, oh, okay, I guess I have to. And so he goes down, and it's quite political. Actually, there's like an evil capitalist who wants to like do environmental damage for money and power, and the entire show is a bunch of kids and some adults, I guess, being like, no, actually, stop that. What are you doing, idiot? Don't, why? And that's the entire show, at least for the first 2 seasons. And I don't know, it's very good lore writing and keeping you engaged. Because like you'll head down and you have so many questions, and you don't know where the show's leading you, and you can trust that you'll learn a little bit about the world every single episode, but it keeps building and building and building, and that kind of happens for its entire runtime. Like it's very very good at keeping you on your toes, and you're still learning things, but you'll still have a lot of questions at the end of the day, and you'll still want to keep going. And the plots ain't bad either. I know that like something about Slugterra is that it looks very finicky and very like kiddie because it is a kid show, and people are like, yeah, the plot's crazy, it's not important, or like it's not like Lord of the Rings, right, where it's like, oh yeah, no, this is like an epic. But like it doesn't have to be an epic in order to be taken seriously. Like if you go into Slugterra with like a very conscious mind, you're like, okay, I'm gonna rip this thing to shreds analytically in my head while I'm watching it. You're gonna have a very fun time because the show really lends itself to that. It's like the underground is like anarchy communism, like all the stuff going on there, and the main villain is literally a capitalist. And then later on, the main villain becomes just a guy who wants to destroy the world. We'll talk about it. And then it is literally an emperor who wants to control everything, and that's super bad too. And then it's so, it's all the range of villains. We have quite the rainbow of them. What else? Weaknesses. It kind of ends weirdly. It does have an ending, but I don't know. We'll talk about it in a second. What else? Slug Fu Showdown isn't the best. But otherwise though, there ain't that much like necessarily wrong. It's more the fact of there should have been more of it, so it could have been like more holistic and everything. But it's a very fine show. It'll make you think a lot, and you won't be. The ending that we have won't destroy you. Still, it's still a good watch, and it'll leave you like satisfied to a degree. What else? Oh yeah, there's like kid guns. So essentially, there's like slugs, Slugterra, and like you put a slug in a gun or like a blaster or whatever, and it shoots out, and like they all transform, and they can transform into different things. That's where like all the mobile games come from, where it's like you could. I know a lot of people know Slugterra from the mobile games. I'm not a gamer, but a lot of people know it from that. But like that's where the concept of the games are, where it like focuses on like the blasting and the shooting, and it's still very important in the show as well. A lot of lore, a lot of lore, a lot of lore. Also a lot of like found family vibes, where like all the kids and non-kids, there's no such thing as a proper canonical ages in Slugterra, except for the main character and the middle schooler. But like there's a lot of found family. Basically, there's like a core 4. There's Eli, Cord, Trixie, and Pronto, starting from like episode 2, and then you kind of just stick with them forever until the era, which shall not be named, that no one likes. But okay. But yeah, there isn't really any like big weaknesses I can point to. But okay, now let's get to how to watch it. So there's 3 distinct eras of Slugterra in my head. We don't talk about the 4th one. So it starts off with the first 2 seasons of Slugterra. This is what most people consider Slugterra in their heads, because this is what was really popular on Disney XD when it was airing. This is the era of the capitalist is the bad guy. You have your main core 4, and they're being environmentalist chads. Okay, and it goes on for pretty long. I think it's like 60 episodes in total. This is a decently long show, and this is just the first era. And another thing about the eras is it's just the medium that it's in, which is another reason why I classify them as this. So it's episodic. It like ramps up, but please watch it in order. It won't be very fun without it. My first watch, I watched episode 8 as episode 3, and it kind of made a bunch of the early episodes a slog for me because I knew too much lore at the time. Oops. Don't do that, Deadweeds episode 8. It's all on YouTube for free, by the way, just the entire show from Wild Brain, who are the people who now like own it. They have like a playlist. Go there. But yeah, you go through a bajillion episodes of season 1 and season 2, and then you get into what I call the how do I say this without it being a spoiler? I'll just say the Jinjay era, because you don't know what that means yet if you're a new viewer. Where essentially a new big thing is introduced. You have new villains, you have some new heroes, and they add anti-colonialism to the based writing room, which is pretty cool. And this goes on for a weird way. So there's 3 movies. After season 2, there is Ghoul from Beyond, aka the Asians have arrived. And then there is Return of the Elementals, which is the second movie, and it's wonderful. A lot of people consider it their like favorite thing of that era. It's great. Return of the Elementals. It's good. It's good. And then there's Slugfu Showdown as the third movie, and that the writing could be a bit better, but it's still a very fun time. And they make the protagonist tie for 1 minute and 13 seconds, which is fantastic. And yeah, it's not a bad time at all. It's still a neat watch. It's still funny. It's still good. Though it could have been better, but whatever. And then after that, we head on into season 3, which is when they had 13 episodes. They went back to a show like segment, and essentially, without getting into too many spoilers, the gang goes somewhere, and that's the entire season. And this is still part of the Jinjae era, right? Some new villains, everything, but they're in a completely different place for the first time. So this is still in the Jinjae era, but it's like the second half of it. And then you watch those 13 episodes. Some people consider the first 2 episodes of that season a movie, and then some people consider the last 2 episodes of that season another movie. That makes it really confusing. Let's just call it 13 episodes. Thank you. And then we get into the Tad era, which is there is a movie after season 3, and they're back where they were before. And there's a new villain, and it's fun. It's also the prettiest animation wise because they actually got a budget for some reason. A lot of people like to complain about it, but it's pretty fun. I think we could all agree that at the very least it was fun, and holy hell, the lore introduced in it, we never recovered. That was a bombshell, and there's a lot to think about there. It's very good. It's very good. And then we kind of get into the 4th era where they're trying to bring Slugterra back, like right now. Like that last movie was in like 2015, 2016. In 2022, they started introducing something called Slugterra Ascension, which is not great. They essentially took the found family aspect of like the core 4 and stripped it and just made it 2 of them. And the plot isn't that great. Totally new team because Nerdcorp sadly no longer exists. I'm so sad. The animation is non-existent, and it hurts. And they also got completely different voice actors, and these voice actors are trying their best, but it is not Sam Vincent. So it's, and I don't like what it does with the lore. It brings it to a weird place, and I have a lot of issues with it. I just like to pretend like it doesn't exist. So honestly, not watching Ascension, that's fine, because the way that the last movie ends, did I ever say the name of the last movie? The last movie is called Into the Shadows. The way Into the Shadows ends, it's okay. It's meaningful. It's a meaningful ending. I'm okay with that. So if you want to watch seasons 1 and 2, then Into the Jinjae era, Go From Beyond, Return of the Elementals, Slugfu Showdown, and then season 3, and then Into the Shadows. Trust me, that's like literally 40 hours of content. You're gonna have a lot of fun. Why do I love it? Because there was a lot of lore and a lot of potential in the show, and it never got it's not that it never got its full complete ending. That's part of it, but also there's just a lot of like nooks and cracks in this. In this that like the fandom just can really play ball with. So it's very fun. It's very good. It's very like, I don't know. It's a very good kid show that kids can go like, haha, blasters, that's cool. And then all the adults go, oh man, I'm a communist now. That's great. So anyway, I really hope that the mic has been working for the past like bajillion minutes. This has been fun. Now I'm gonna go keep watching the French dub of Slugterra. Also, it's in like 13 languages. Did you know that? You should have known that. Watch Slugterra.